Hello, welcome to my channel, Financial Wisdom Coach. I'm a host, Beza Asrat. I'm a CPA and certified personal finance educator and a coach. In this channel, I teach personal finance and tax-related topics. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. If this is your first time, please go ahead, subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends if you have been here before. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, and don't forget to hit the notification button. That way you will know when I upload new videos. Today, I'll be talking about emergency fund. I'll be sharing my screen and we'll continue from there. I believe most of you have heard what an emergency fund is before, and today we will go over briefly what an emergency fund is, why we need to save for emergency, how much we need to save, when should we use our emergency fund, and where we should save our emergency fund. So what's an emergency fund? An emergency fund is a savings account containing money to be used only in the event of an emergency. So the keyword is emergency. It's similar to other savings account, but we use it for emergency purposes, such as losing your job or sudden medical condition or having to make an unexpected car repair, something like that. And why do we need an emergency fund? One of the most important aspects of emergency fund is it will help us to avoid using credit cards or high interest personal loans. Let's say if we have an emergency type of expense and if we use our credit cards, the interest on most of our credit cards are double digits. Most of them are 21, 24%. So it's very costly to use our credit cards for emergency purposes. So instead of using our credit cards, it's better to save for emergency purposes so that whenever something happens, urgent and unexpected, we can use our emergency fund. The other aspect of using our emergency fund is maintaining financial stability. It's more like laying a foundation when you build a house. Without a good foundation, when we build a house, when the disaster comes, when a storm comes, the house cannot stand strong. Similarly, having an emergency fund is laying a foundation to your finances. It's highly recommended to have an emergency fund even before start investing. If you start investing without having a good emergency fund in place, then when something urgent and unexpected happen, you would have to liquidate your investment to meet short-term emergency need. And this will have negative tax implication if the investment must be sold from the tax advantage account, which means it will cost you more. One, you lose your investment, your savings, and second, you will have to pay more taxes. So having a saving reserve isn't just a stress reducer, it is a critical element of a long-term money management strategy. The next question is, how much do we need to save for emergency purposes? Most financial planners suggest maintaining an emergency reserve sufficient to cover 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses. For example, if I have, if my living expense is $2,000 per month, and if I need to save it for 6 months, I will need $12,000, 6 months times 2,000, right? But on the other hand, those of you who work in an industry that's downsizing or have highly competitive jobs, it is recommended to save from 8 to 12 months of your emergency fund. So instead of saving 12,000 in my previous example, you will need to save 16,000, 8 times 2,000. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics provides the average expected unemployment period for each industry sector. So if you don't know how long it will take you to find your next job, if you get unemployed, you can check the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So let's say if you get laid off or unemployed today, how long it will take you to find the next job. If you can't find it right away, it's okay, you can save 3 to 6 months. But if it will take you on 1 year or more than 6 months, it's better to save for more, 8 to 12 months. When should you use your emergency fund? Clearly, it's acceptable to use your emergency fund when you become suddenly unemployed or loss of income. And secondly, when you have urgent and unexpected expenses happen. And I'll show you the examples in the next slide. These are the examples when we should use our emergency fund for what type of expenses and when we should avoid using our emergency fund. Some of the examples that we can use our emergency fund is loss of income or unemployment. For example, COVID, the pandemic is a good example to use our emergency fund. During COVID time, most people have been laid off or furloughed, losing their job, right? It did create loss of income. So in that case, we can use our emergency fund. Or when family emergencies happen, something that we never expected, it could happen, right? And medical emergencies. Those reasons we can use, or also major car repair that's not expected. On the other hand, we should not use our emergency fund for vacation or holiday expenses because we can't plan ahead of time. If I'm planning to travel after next 6 months or after a year, I can't plan, right? I can't save ahead of time monthly. For plannable annual expenses, such as car insurance, we know that we have to pay every year or twice a year. So for that, we can save monthly instead of using our emergency fund. And for investments, we shouldn't touch our emergency fund. Instead of using our emergency fund, we can save for investment purposes. And home renovation is the same thing. We can plan ahead. If I need to renovate, for example, my house for the next 2 years, 3 years, I can plan ahead of time and start saving for that purpose. The next question is, where should you save emergency fund? And the most important thing we should know about emergency fund is it should be liquid. In other words, it's money you can easily convert into cash, money in your checking accounts, saving accounts, or cash in hand considered as liquid. So it should be readily available when we need it. The best place to save your emergency fund is in high-yield online-only savings account. Such banks are FDIC insured, which means it is federally insured up to $250,000 per depositor, so it's safe. And they pay higher interest than local brick and mortar banks such as Bank of America, Wells Fargo. They pay only 0.01%, whereas this online high yield savings account pay more interest. These are some of the examples of online high yield savings account for January 2022. The interest rates are for January 2022. So the interest rate might change depending on when you are watching this video. So these are the examples. For example, Ally Bank, Capital One 360 Performance Savings, Markers by Goldman Sachs, and all this give a good saving interest rate, 0.5% and 0.40%. And all of them don't have fees and no minimum requirement, which means you can save starting from $10, $100, there is no minimum requirement. And the good thing is all of them are FDIC insured. So up to $250,000, your saving is safe. So, but if you want to learn more about, if you want to see other banks, high yield online savings account, you can visit bankrate.com and you can be able to see other high yield online savings account, and you can choose based on this criteria I just mentioned to you. Okay, if you have any questions about emergency savings fund or high yield savings account, please let me know. Leave me a note, comments down here, and also let me know which bank you are using for emergency fund. If it is high yield online savings account, let me know which one you are using currently, and I want to hear from you. Thank you.